The world's largest mountain range isn't the Himalayas, and the world's deepest canyon isn't the Grand Canyon. Both of those titles go to our oceans. Covering 70% of the Earth's surface, our dark, mysterious, and never-ending oceans are home to an array of secrets. Divers spend endless hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars searching the seabed, and sometimes, just sometimes, they'll get lucky and come across a game-changing discovery. From priceless treasures to terrifying new creatures, underwater rivers, and a submersed version of the ancient pyramids, you really never know what you'll find beneath the surface. Underwater diving isn't cheap. With equipment and training, drawn-out expeditions can easily roll into the territory of tens of thousands of dollars. But when you uncover the holy grail of shipwrecks, which was once considered by some to be nothing more than folklore and legend, then those initial costs don't seem so bad after all. On the 8th of June 1708, the Spanish galleon ship named San Jose erupted into flames following a battle with the British off the coast of Cartagena in Colombia. As night fell, the ship, carrying $20 billion worth of gold, silver, and jewels destined for King Philip V of Spain, and nearly 600 people sank to the ocean floor. For centuries, it remained lost. Then, on the 27th of November in 2015, some 300 years after the fatal battle, the mystery was solved. Thanks to a remote-controlled underwater search vehicle called Remus 6000, the Colombian government announced that the monumental shipwreck had officially been found. The San Jose's treasure has been the subject of a legal battle of ownership ever since, with the Colombian government and a U.S. salvage company named Sea Search Armada, which helped look for the wreck, fighting over the priceless treasure. Because this legal suit is still ongoing, the precise location of the San Jose hasn't been disclosed, so you can't go looking for it yourself. You can, however, dive down to a lost city. We're not talking about Atlantis, because we may never truly know the answer to that mystery. But there's no doubt that sunken cities do indeed exist, full of temples, relics, and statues as far as the eye can see. When earthquakes and high tides struck the Mediterranean area around 1200 years ago, Egypt lost two great seaside cities to the water. One of those was the now sunken city of Heraklion, aka Thonis Heraklion. The city sat on hard clay, which rapidly turned into liquid as the water seeped in, causing the buildings to collapse into the water below. Underwater archaeologist Frank Goddio, who left his high-paying job at the UN to pursue his passion for underwater archaeology, unearthed this long-gone city in the year 2000. Discovering it about 4.5 miles off the Egyptian shore in Aboukir Bay. That's right about here. The submerged city is dotted with eerie statues, remains of ancient temples, jewels, ceramics, and coins, making it undoubtedly one of the most priceless finds in modern history. If a deep-sea diver were to come across a sunken city, a gold-laden shipwreck, or an underwater treasure chest, they'd be overwhelmed with glee and excitement. If that same diver came face-to-face with a monstrous anaconda, then that glee quickly turns to sheer terror. When that snake gets so close that it licks the lens of your camera, well, you'd be lucky to resurface at all. Yet this is exactly what happened in 2019 to Bartolomeo Bove, a professional shark diver and underwater videographer. He thought that his expedition might encounter snakes, but never did he imagine finding one as big as this. Caught on camera, Bartolomeo and his diving partner Yuka Igarape were greeted by a female green anaconda that was approximately 23 feet long and weighed nearly 200 pounds. For a bit of perspective, that's heavier than the average fully grown American man. These huge South American predators typically slither through marshes, swamps, and murky streams where the water is clouded. There is one place, however, where these mammoth reptiles swim in crystal clear waters, Brazil's Formoso River, where this footage was captured. How would you react to this situation? Probably not as calmly as Bove. He described it as, quote, "unbelievable. No words can do justice to the sensations that I was really feeling during that experience," end quote. Enormous snakes aren't the only creatures we need to worry about beneath the surface. Sure, there are sharks, whales, giant sea spiders, and vampire squid, but their intimidation factor arguably doesn't even come close to that of this giant jellyfish. When Lizzie Daly and her cameraman Dan Abbott were exploring the waters off the coast of Cornwall in England as a part of the Wild Ocean Week fundraising and awareness campaign, they would have expected to encounter a number of different undersea creatures, although never would they have imagined locking horns with a human-sized jellyfish. Barrel jellyfish typically grow to a length of up to 3 feet, but this cream-colored one measured upwards of 5. They have 8 frilly arms equipped with stinging tentacles, but thankfully don't pose a significant threat to humans. While these divers were given a wild surprise that day, it could have been a whole lot worse. Barrel jellyfish pale in comparison to the lion's mane jellyfish, some of which have measured an astounding 120 feet long, bigger than the average blue whale. For everything that remains a mystery about our colorful and dynamic oceans, we can say with certainty that we know how rivers work. They branch off from the main water source and flow along a usually shallow surface riverbed. Well, it turns out we were wrong about that too. In 2016, a team of researchers from Leeds University working in the Black Sea, that's this big old body of water right here, discovered, hold on to your scuba masks people, an underwater river. Sounds crazy, right? Well, it's true. Using a deep-sea robot, the divers measured the Black Sea River to produce a force of directional movement 350 times as powerful as the River Thames in London. But how is this possible? Well, we'll tell you. The underwater river sits atop a channel or a trench. The channel pushes so much water through it that if it were found on land, it would rank as the 6th largest river in terms of total flowing volume. Finding a sunken ship in the ocean isn't exactly shocking, but uncovering former fighter planes resting on the seabed, well, that's when things get a little more intriguing. On the 17th of February 1944, hundreds of American military aircraft launched from carriers during Operation Hailstone headed for the Truk Lagoon Japanese naval base. In the aftermath, 250 Japanese and 30 American planes were lost. Remarkably, it took over 80 years for 3 of those American planes to finally be recovered, including a TBM F-1 Avenger torpedo bomber. The wreckage was found by Project Recover. But what set their expedition apart from the hundreds of leisure divers who'd failed to spot the planes? The answer? Sonar. Sonar scans identified potential airplane debris in the region, which the scientists then investigate more closely by deploying divers of their own as well as robots equipped with high-definition cameras. It's not every day that you set out for a shoreline dive and resurface with a handful of solid gold. But for Zvika Feyer, when Zvika was scuba diving off the ancient Israeli port town of Caesarea, his gaze became transfixed on a glimmer in the sand. It was a gold coin. So Feyer swept more sand aside, spotted another coin, then another, until he had uncovered the largest collective gold treasure ever found in Israeli history. More than 2,000 gold coins littered the seabed, each over 1,000 years old and decorated with Arabic script on both sides. The total find weighed in at between 12 and 13 pounds of gold, with a modern bullion value of around $240,000. Did someone say Japanese Atlantis? Our round-the-world underwater journey takes its next step below the waters of Yonaguni-jima, a Japanese island near the southern tip of the Ryukyu archipelago. It is here that divers, way back in 1986, first stumbled across Yonaguni's stunning, mysterious ruins. Supposedly, this city was submerged after an earthquake around 2,000 years ago, but the rest of the story remains a mystery. A number of stone structures make up the network, but it's the submerged civilization's largest structure that has intrigued and baffled experts the most. Rising 82 feet, this giant stone structure resembles a complicated, monolithic, stepped pyramid. In total, the ruins cover an area spanning 984 feet by 492 feet. Masaki Kimura, a marine geologist at the University of the Ryukyus in Japan, has been diving at this site for more than 15 years, taking measurements and mapping out its structures. According to him, the city dates back as far as 5,000 years. Do we have any divers in the house? If you've ever had the chance to explore vast underwater caves, you'll agree that they are an entirely unique scuba experience compared to anything else in the open water. Hands down, one of the most celebrated and spectacular underwater cave sites on this earth is the Orda Cave, approximately 900 miles west of Moscow. Located in the eastern foothills of Russia's Ural Mountains, the Orda Cave system extends more than 3 miles long, making it the longest gypsum cave in the world and the longest cave in all of Russia above or below the surface. With picturesque cathedral-like galleries and pristine waters, the Orda Cave has revolutionized cave diving in Russia. Take one look at the Ice Palace, Orda's biggest grotto, and you'll quickly realize why. The Orda's landscape also changes over time, which is as amazing as it is dangerous. As new passages form, others become blocked, and for this reason, as well as the rather cold waters, only experienced divers are allowed to visit. If you meet the criteria, it'll still set you back over $600. At the foot of the Wuxi Mountain and beneath the spectacular Qiandao Lake, China has a sunken city of its own. Xicheng, aka the Lion City. Distinguishing itself from other cities that were victims of natural disasters or man-made catastrophes, the famed Lion City was flooded intentionally. Despite more than 50 years exposed to the underwater elements, the entire city remains impeccably preserved. A dive throughout its walls is like stepping into a virtual time capsule. For decades, Lion City was all but forgotten under 130 feet of water, until it was rediscovered in 2001, when a local official in charge of tourism decided to see what remained of the city under the deep waters. The rediscovery has brought in bucket loads of tourist dollars ever since. At one point, a 77 feet high, 12 foot tall submarine with a 48-person seating capacity was built at a cost of 40 million yuan or 5.6 million US dollars. However, it was never used. And now, the only way to see Lion City is to dive for yourself. Have you ever been scuba diving? Where did you do it? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thank you so much for checking out The Richest. See you next time and have yourselves a great day.